Hey everybody, what is up and welcome to Paragon Git Gud Guides. On this episode, I'm going to talk about Feng Mao. Now this guy is a melee hero, and he kicks a ton of ass. He used to kick a lot of ass, and then they had to nerf his ass into the ground, but he's still very viable, and I want to show you guys how and why. But before I get to those particulars, I'm going to give you guys an overview of this hero, his abilities, passives, all that stuff. Give you guys an awesome build that I like to personally rock that allows me to kick ass, and then show you guys how to play him in game. So Feng Mao's The Balance, his passive, is more or less just a way for him to gain these stacks that both give him damage and a little bit of defense. It's nothing really noticeable, but it's nice to know that it's there. His R2, his basic attack called Sweep, does 50 physical damage every 1.5 seconds, and it has some pretty good range to it, which is nice when you're chasing down targets. His R1 is a shield that lasts for 2 seconds and absorbs more and more damage as you continue to rank it up, and it also creates those offensive stacks for each hit he takes while the shield is active, so that's nice. His Reaping Dash, his square skill, allows him to shoot out an image, and then he teleports to it and does damage if that image is able to hit another person. You also pass through enemies while you're doing so, and it grants another offensive stack on use. Hamstring, his Circle, gives you a slow, I know it doesn't say it does, but it's an AoE slow attack that does some decent damage and slows the enemy or any enemy within the attack, which is quite nice because you're going to be ganking a lot of people. And finally, his ultimate is a straight line AoE nuke that does pretty sizable damage, and you get a brief resistant shield as well. So knowing that, how exactly do we build him? Well, I like to build him pretty much straight physical damage, because that's what he is, and then on top of that, a good amount of attack speed, followed by critical chance, and if I can manage it at the very end, critical damage. I also like to experiment with maybe a little bit of an increase to health, or if I really need it, some armor or magic resistance. But for the most part, we're going pure damage here, folks, because when you gank lanes early on to mid-game, you're going to want to be able to take out people really quickly, because that's how else are you going to get those kills and help snowball your team to victory. When you're playing Feng Mao, it's important to try and coordinate with your team to make sure that you've secured some kind of jungling role, because that's where, in my opinion, he's the strongest. I always start the match off with a 2 CP equipment card, as well as the health potion. The health potion you're going to use for jungling is you're going to need that extra health. Jungle mobs hit hard early on. And as far as the 2-point equipment card goes, if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just roll with the mana potion and that'll be fine. But for me, I have one that gives me physical damage and attack speed early on, which can be quite nice. It's a little boost to your jungling, a little boost to your speed as you're rolling through everything. And it allows me to immediately upgrade into some stronger physical damage upgrade cards the first time I go back to shop. But the first 5 minutes of any Paragon match, to me, I go to blue or red buff, whichever I'm feeling at the moment. I like to do blue because if I don't have a mana pot on me at the time, then the blue mob buff will keep me going mana-wise, which allows me to gank longer and stay in lane longer without having to go back to the store to get another potion or to refill my mana and such. But I will do a little bit of jungling. I'll get to level 2, maybe to level 3, depending on the urgency of ganks needed, and then I will gank the nearest lane that needs one, go behind the enemy, more than likely kill them, and continue to do a little bit more jungling, maybe gank one more time, and go back with a minimum of 6 card points to spend, preferably 9, 12 if I'm doing really well, because by then you'll have a really good start. I like to, if I have 6 points and I go back, I like to spend 5 points on upgrade cards, so I'll get 3 points worth of damage, and then another 2 points worth of physical damage, and with that last remaining point, I will get the mana potion. From there, Feng Mao is just great with ganking and some laning and pushing towards the mid to late game. You're going to want to be just ganking and roaming all over the place wherever your team needs you. And as soon as I join another lane to gank somebody from behind, I like to go up to them, immediately slow them right after a quick basic attack, and then follow up with my ultimate. And this allows me to aim it a little bit easier since they won't be moving as quick due to the slow from the AoE of yours. And finally, when it comes to leveling your skills and abilities, I recommend leveling your ultimate whenever you possibly can, as well as your physical basic attack. Level that anytime I possibly get it. But first, the first thing I absolutely level from level 1 is the AoE slow, which is the circle on the PS4. And that proves to be pretty good early on. It's also great for jungling since it hits every minion for a decent amount of damage, but it's also great for early ganks because you'll have it at level 2, and the next skill I like to get after that is the dash. Since by level 2 you'll have the dash, you'll have the slow, you don't really need the shield until level 3 or 4 if you want to put some more damage into the slow. But when it comes to leveling for endgame, you have two choices. One, you could level up your dash square attack on the controller, and this would do a couple of things for you. It would increase the mana cost slightly, but it would decrease the cooldown as well as increase the damage. So if you're great with your accuracy, and if you think you can land that delayed teleport shot for extra damage, then hey, go for it. I know I've gotten a fair amount of kills at using that to last hit people, but the shield, on the other hand, leveling that can triple its output and give you a shield worth, 400, 500 health for a couple of seconds, which is enough to dodge various amounts of damage like Murdoch's ultimate, various other ultimates. It can really save your life, so you kind of have to choose which one you want to level because you can't max out both if you're maxing out your basic attack and your ultimate. And back to building items quickly, the first thing I build personally is physical attack. I want to get my physical attack somewhere between 50 and 70 points without the red buff, right? Once I'm there, I know I'm pretty comfortable doing a decent amount of damage for early to mid game, right? So after that, my next equipment card is going to be the physical attack speed card. And then on that, I'm going to stack nothing but the kinetic cards. So I'm talking an extra 50, 60 attack speed. And that should get you to where you want to be for the most part. Later on down the line, a couple of equipment cards later, you can build more attack speed if you would like. However, I like to build straight damage, get myself in the 200 range, so not only am I hitting harder basic attack wise, but my abilities and ultimate are hitting harder as well, which attack speed doesn't really scale into. Attack speed's just great for basic attacking, right? So if you want more basic attacking, hey, that's fine. If you have like a different build that kind of revolves more around basic attacks than mine, then hey, go for it. Whereas mine's more just like raw damage, possibly some crit in there if I do want to go more basic attacking. So for me, it's more about the crits and the spikes of damage than it is attacking quickly, because if you don't have any crit, and then it's like a consistent damage, which can be good if you're somewhat of a tanky build. But I build my Feng Mao a little bit glass cannony. That's why I personally level up his shield all the way, so that I can mitigate a lot of the damage in team fights or 1v1s against a hyper carry of sorts. But all in all, I like to build to counter the enemy team. So if I need more health, then I might put a health node into one of my physical attack equipment cards, like the one that has physical attack and health built into it. I like to use stuff like that, especially ones that have physical attack and mana, because you do run out of mana more than you do health, especially in team fights or prolonged battles. But when it comes right down to it, my first and second equipment items are always going to be physical attack followed by attack speed. That's pretty much unchanged. My third one is usually physical attack, but that might be switched out for something more important or needed at that moment. And my fourth one is usually damage again, but hey, who knows, it could change. Like I said, I like to build to counter the enemy team. I feel like that gets the best results. It definitely helped me a lot in League with that kind of mentality, and it definitely helps me here in Paragon. And with that, I'm ending this Git Gud guide with Feng Mao. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. Really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below if you have any alternating opinions when it comes to item build. I'd love to hear it, because if you guys know of any other viable builds that I would personally like to play, oh yeah, I'm down for it. I'm down with experimenting and theory crafting and all that such. I might not have the cards for it, but I'm sure that'll change later on with the crafting system. Subscribe for more videos like this. I make them every 2 days, no matter what, or I die trying. So thank you again for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one.